So we're going to finish section 9.2 today. And like I said, we're going to start with a binomial times a binomial. So a binomial has how many terms in the polynomial? Two, right? And it's connected together with a plus sign or a minus sign. And so like these right here, this x plus 5 is a binomial and this x plus 2 is a binomial. They got two different monomial terms added together. So we're going to multiply these, and if we have a binomial times a binomial, the way you remember that you can multiply this is something called the FOIL method, like foil, like aluminum foil. And it's really an acronym. Y'all know what an acronym is? When the letters stand for another word. So F stands for the word first. O stands for the word outer. She just said the same thing. I stands for inner. And L stands for the word last. Raise your hand if you've heard of FOIL method before. Anybody? Okay. So what FOIL method is the order of the terms you multiply together when you're multiplying two binomials. Okay. So F stands for first. That means you're going to take the first terms in each parentheses and multiply them together. Okay. So I like to draw little rainbows, I guess you would say, to say I'm multiplying x times x. Y'all, what is x times x? X squared. It's not 2x. It's not 2x squared. It's just x squared. Okay? So x times x is x squared. O stands for outer. That means you multiply the two outside terms. So the outside terms of both parentheses are the x and the 2. And what is x times 2? So you're going to put plus 2x. I stands for inner. That means the two inside terms. So what is 5 times x? 5x. And L stands for last. That means the last term in each parenthesis. So 5 times 2 is what? 10, plus 10. And your very last step, that's all you're multiplying. So your very last step is to take the two inside terms and notice that they are like terms, right? And so you combine your like terms in the middle. So what is 2x plus 5x? 7x. So my final answer is x squared plus 7x plus 10. So FOIL just tells you what order to multiply. Now, if you would like to think of it differently, instead of remembering FOIL, because it really doesn't work for anything besides binomials times binomials, I like to call it repeat distributive property. You're going to distribute the x times the two terms over here, and then you're going to distribute the 5 times the two terms over here. And it's really the same. You get the same thing in the same order. So if distributive property helps you out to think about it that way, the x times both of these terms and the 5 times both of these terms, then it's the same thing. So I don't care if you think about it FOIL method or distributive property method, it's the same thing. Okay? So, problem F. What two things do you think we're going to multiply together first? Whether we think about distributive or FOIL method. 2x times 4x. So what is 2x times 4x? 8x squared, right? X times x is x squared. And then what do we multiply next? The outside terms, 2x times 1. What is 2x times 1? So put plus 2x. Then what two things do we multiply together? 3 times 4x. You look at the inside terms, or you can just go to the 3 and do 3 times the first term, which is what? 12x. And L stands for last, so 3 times 1 is what? 3. That looks like a squished muffin. And what's 2x plus 2x plus 12x is what? So 8x squared plus 14x plus 3 is your final answer. So remember, you got to combine your like terms. Practice a few more, and then we'll do some U-tries. This is really important stuff, guys. You got to be able to know how to do this. So what is, first we multiply what two terms on G? X times 3x. What is x times 3x? 3x squared. Then what do we multiply? X times 2. And what do you get there? 2x. And then negative 4 times 3x is what? Negative 12x. Watch your sign. And then last we multiply what two terms? Negative 4 times 2 is what? Negative 8. And what's the last thing you do? Combine your like terms. And if you have done your order of multiplying correctly, your like terms will always be in the middle. Okay? So what is positive 2x minus 12x? Negative 10x. So that's 3x squared minus 10x minus 8. Any questions? All right, let's do one more. Then you guys are going to try some on your own. What do we multiply first? That's an A, by the way. It looks terrible. It's an A. 4a times negative 2a. So what is 4a times negative 2a? Negative 8. Negative 8a squared. Very good. Then we multiply 4a times what? 2. What is 4a times 2? 8a. So you put plus 8a. Then what do you multiply? Negative 3 times negative 2a. What's a negative times a negative? A positive what? 6a. And L stands for last, so negative 3 times 2 is what? Negative 6. And what's my last step? And they're in the middle together. So what is 8a plus 6a? So negative 8a squared plus 14a minus 6. Any questions on binomials times binomials so far? All right, I want y'all to try these two on your own. post my attendance. Check them with an answer, or check your answer with a neighbor when you're done. It's Friday. We was talking about earlier. It took forever for it to get here. You have 4 days. I 2 weeks of watch. Me and Bobby are going for our anniversary by ourselves, and then 2 weeks later. That's fun. Yeah. Might as well. There you go. I love it down there. All right. So what did you multiply first on number 1, guys? 4n times n is what? And then 4n times 5 is what? 20n. And what's negative 1 times n? And what is negative 1 times 5? And what's the last thing you did? Combine your n's. What is 20n minus n? So raise your hand if you got 4n squared plus 19n minus 5 for the number 1. Are there any questions? Number 2, what 2 things did you multiply together first? 4x times x. 4x times x is what? And then what did you multiply? 4x times negative 2. What is 4x times negative 2? Negative 8x. And then what did you multiply? What is negative 5 times x? And then what did you multiply? Negative 5 times negative 2. And what did you get? And what's the last thing you did? Like terms. And what did you get for the whole polynomial? 4x squared. Raise your hand if you got 4x squared minus 13x plus 10. Any questions? Raise your hand if your brain does FOIL method, or if you're, okay, I want to know if your brain does FOIL method or distributes. Raise your hand if your brain does FOIL method. Raise your hand if you distribute. Raise your hand if you do a combo. Okay, so you just do this times this and this and this times this and this. And if I get confused with myself, I go back to that's great. That's good. Okay, that's why I want to show you both ways. Because when we're doing the next thing, which is a binomial times a trinomial, basically the only thing that will work is the distributive property stuff. Okay? So you got to learn the distributive way either way. So I wanted y'all to bet it on a binomial times a binomial. Some people think FOIL method is easier. So this one's a binomial because this one has 2 terms, and a trinomial because this one has how many terms? 3. So when you have a binomial times a trinomial, what I would suggest you do is you take each term in your binomial and multiply it times every term in your trinomial. So I'm going to take the 4x and I'm going to multiply it times this term, and this term. And then I'm going to come back with my negative 3 and multiply it times this term, this term, this term. Okay? So each term in the binomial gets multiplied times each term in the trinomial. And after we do that, we'll combine our like terms and we'll be done. So y'all look at me when you get the problem written down and then we'll start. I said look at me, don't stare at me freakishly. Scare me. Give me nightmares. Just kidding, just kidding, just kidding. All right, so I'm going to take the 4x first and multiply it times all 3 terms, and then I'm going to write them all down. So what is 4x times 2x squared? Yep, 8x to the third. Good. 4x times 5x? 20x squared. 4x times negative 1. All right, any questions on that half? Then I go to my negative 3 and multiply it times all three terms. So what's negative 3 times 2x squared? Okay. What's negative 3 times 5x? Negative 15x. And what's negative 3 times negative 1? Positive 3. A negative times a negative is a positive. Okay? Then we got to combine like terms. Remember, we need to go highest to lowest exponent. So what's my highest exponent I have? X to the third. Does it have any like term, buddies? Nope. So just bring it down. What's my next highest exponents? Squares. And I've got a 20x squared and a negative 6x squared. And what do I get when I combine those? Good. And then I have my x's. I've got negative 4x minus 15x. So what do I get there? And then the last one, the constant, don't have a like term, little buddy. So I just copy it. And that's my final answer. So it takes a little while because you got to multiply all those terms. But it's really not difficult. Look at K. How is K a little different? Yeah, they put the trinomial and then a binomial. Okay? It really doesn't matter. Some people can't stand to see them this way. They like the binomial in front. So if you would like to, you can rearrange it to where the binomial comes first. Okay? I'm just going to work it like it is. And I'm just going to do binomial times all three terms, and then this part times all three terms. But if that bothers you to do it backwards that way, put your binomial in the front. So if you get these on like the homework out of the book, I would just rearrange it before I start. Does that make sense? But I'm just going to do it because you're going to multiply the same way. So I'm going to start with 3m, and then multiply it times all three terms in the trinomial. So what's 3m times m squared? 3m to the third. What's 3m times 6m? 18m squared. And what's 3m times negative 7? Negative 21m. And then I do the same thing with my negative 4. What is negative 4 times m squared? There goes the heat. Negative 4m squared. What's negative 4 times 6m? Negative 24m. And what's negative 4 times negative 7? Positive 28. So any question about my multiplying? All right, well, now what do we do? Like terms, what's my highest exponents? M to the third power, so copy it. Because it has no like term buddies. And then we do the squares. So what's 18m squared minus 4m squared? Positive 14m squared. What's negative 21m minus 24m? Good. And then I put my plus 28 on the end. Any questions? Y'all think y'all can handle that? We're going to skip the you try, actually. And then we get to do the fun stuff. A trinomial times a trinomial. Now, how do you think we're going to do this? Yeah, it's just the same thing, except we just do a little bit more multiplying. Okay? So first I'm going to take the 2x squared and then multiply it times all three terms in the second one. Then I'm going to take the 3x times all three terms in the second one. Then the 4 times all three terms in the second one. So y'all, after I get done multiplying, before I combine like terms, how many terms will I have strung out there? None. I will have 9. 3 times 3 is 9, right? Yes. So I will have, after you've multiplied a trinomial times a trinomial, before you combine like terms, you should have 9 terms that you get from your multiplications. So you're multiplying 9 times. So how many times were we multiplying when we did a binomial times a trinomial? How many times were we multiplying when we had a binomial times a binomial? Yeah. Look at y'all honors kids being all honorsy today. So I'm going to start with 2x squared, and it's going to go times all 3 terms in the second trinomial, okay? So what is 2x squared times negative 4x squared? To the 4th power. Wow, we're getting on up there. All right, so what is 2x squared times negative 8x? Negative 16x to the 3rd. And then what is 2x squared times 2? Yes. All right, now I'm doing the 3x's. There's 3. We're a third of the way done multiplying. All right. So then I do my 3x times everything. So what's 3x times negative 4x squared? Negative 12x to the 3rd. What is 3x times negative 8x? Squared. Good. What is 3x times 2? 6x. Do you see how it's so easy to make one mistake here, though? You got to be careful. Then I'm going to do my 4 times everything. So what is 4 times negative 4x squared? What is 4 times negative 8x? And what is 4 times 2? How many terms do I have over there? Yeah. 9 terms. All right, so now we're going to combine our like ones. So what's my highest exponent I have? And it's the only one right there, so I just copy it. And then I do my x cubes, and the only 2 I think I have is negative 16x to the 3rd minus 12x to the 3rd. Is that correct? And what is negative 16x to the 3rd minus 12x to the 3rd? Good. And then I have 4x squared minus 24x squared minus 16x squared. Negative 36x squared. You're right. I wrote the wrong exponent. And so that's negative 36x squared. Y'all agree on that one? And then 6x minus 32x is what? Negative 26. Copy the footnote. And there's your final answer. Well, y'all are not going to have 50 of those. But y'all, is it mathematically difficult though? No. It takes a while, yes.
But it's not hard.
It's tiresome, right?
It's a lot of it.
Yes. You need a high school diploma to do anything, and the state says you have to take Algebra 1 to graduate.
I mean, like for real, like what job do you
Engineers need stuff
One
like
of
this.
our teachers from Diamond, Sydney, she gave a
All right, look at this one. This one has 2 multiplying things going on, and then it wants you to add them together.
Why don't we do the little multiplication thing to the right, and then we do our addition and addition?
We can. So what I would do is I would multiplication comes before addition with order of operations, doesn't it? And this is a multiplication problem over here, right? Because you're distributing. This is a multiplication over here because it's a binomial times a binomial. So I would work this one, and then I'd work this one, then I'd combine like terms with them together. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's just distribute the left, because we can do that in one step. What is 2x times x? 2x squared. What is 2x times 3? 6x. Okay, and then I'm going to distribute these, or FOIL it, whatever you want to call it. I'm just going to put a plus right here. And what's x times 2x? 2x squared. What's x times negative 5? And what is 2 times 2x? 4x. And what is 2 times negative 5? Negative 10. Now, I know in FOIL method, we would typically combine like terms right here. But since we're adding that to another polynomial, I would just wait and just combine all like terms together. Save you a little time. So what is 2x squared plus 2x squared? 4x squared. And for your x's, you've got 3 of those. 6x minus 5x plus 4x. Yes, because 6x minus 5x is 1x plus 4x is 5x. And then the minus 10 does not have any friends. So that's not too bad, is it? Any questions? Yes. Negative x times negative 5. I did, okay. Ignore this part. X times 2x is 2x squared. X times negative 5 is negative 5x. 2 times 2x is 4x. 2 times negative 5 is negative 10. Binomial times binomial. So that's just putting it all together. And I believe that's the end of section 9.2. It is. So section 9.3 is really short. Section 9.3, and y'all can probably do this on like half a page. Not even kidding. Section 9.3 talks about special products. Now, what is a product? Answer to multiplication. Special means it's special. Right? Unique, not common. Out of ordinary. Better than normal. Okay, y'all, I'm going to show you the wrong way to do this problem. Because I don't want you to do it the wrong way. That's the wrong way. Okay. So, back in chapter 8, when we saw parentheses outside of something and an exponent, we gave everything the inside exponent. However, in chapter 8, we didn't have a plus sign. And we didn't have minus sign. Everything was multiplied together. There's birds in the bushes. Get over it. Okay? All right. So, people do this problem wrong all the time. They do it in Algebra 1 incorrectly. They do it in Algebra 2 incorrectly. They do it in geometry incorrectly. They do it in college algebra incorrectly. My husband teaches it, I know. And he gets so mad. So do not do this incorrectly. The incorrect way to do this, so don't write this down or write it down and put big X's through it like I'm going to do, is to say 3x squared is 9x squared, right? And 4 squared is 16, and that's your answer? No. Big, fat, no. That is wrong. Okay? Don't do that. I will use half of my pen on you. On your paper, not on you. Okay? That is very wrong. What does it mean to square something mathematically? Multiply it by itself. So 3x plus 4 squared means you multiply 3x plus 4 times 3x plus 4. So that means when you see a binomial squared or any polynomial squared, you're going to write it out. That polynomial times itself. Okay? You don't give everything the square. You multiply it times itself because that's what squaring means. So now it's a binomial times a binomial, and we've been doing that already. Right? Right? So 3x times 3x is what? 9x squared. 3x times 4. 12x. 4 times 3x. 12x. And then 4 times 4 is what? Did you see how the inside was repeated? Every time you have a binomial square, that's going to happen. So it's going to be a double right there. So what is 12x plus 12x? No, it's not x squared. Yeah, you add them so you combine like terms. So, okay, did I get the same thing as this? No, this one's wrong. This one's right. Big fat check mark. Yay. True. My green's ugly on here. It looks like snot. Yeah, it looks like booger snot. Okay. So let's do the next one. 5x minus 2y squared. How do you square a binomial? Multiply times itself. So that means you write it twice. 5x minus 2y times 5x minus 2y. And then you can FOIL it, distribute it, whatever you want to call it. Now, we haven't seen any of these with two different variables, so I'll show you what happens in the middle. It's not difficult. Don't cry. All right. So 5x times 5x is what? 5x squared. 5x times negative 2y. Very good. And then what's negative 2y times 5x? Now, didn't I tell you on a binomial squared, the middle will be doubled? Yeah. And then negative 2y times negative 2y is what? Plus 4y squared. Very good. And what is negative 10xy minus 10xy? So the answer is 25x squared minus 20xy plus 4y squared. Questions? All right. Mm-hmm. No. They tie. I would just leave them alone.
I just didn't worry about it.
If they tie for the number of exponents, I would just leave them alone. Yes, sir. Yes. 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 So let's just do that. This one's actually magical. Okay. So let's multiply out these two binomials. First of all, it's not a binomial square because they have opposite signs, right? It's not the same thing as something square because they have opposite signs. So notice that the terms are the same in the front. The terms are same at the end, but the middles are opposite signs. Okay? This one's very special. I'll tell you what it's called in a second. So 3x times 3x is what? 3x times 2, 6x. Negative 2 times 3x. And negative 2 times 2 is what? And They make 0. So I have 9x squared minus 4. That's supposed to happen. This is called a difference of squares. Difference of squares. When you have the same first term in the parentheses, the same last term in the parentheses, and opposite signs in the middle of two binomials, it is called a difference of squares. These are extra special. We will see these lots and lots and lots and lots and lots. And there's a shortcut. Yeah. Y'all want to see the shortcut? Ish. Okay, so if you have a difference of squares, that means you've double checked. You have same first term, same last terms, opposite signs in the middle. Here's the shortcut. Yeah, or if you multiply it times itself, it's the same thing as squaring it, right? So the shortcut is take the first term, square it, take the last term, square it, and put a minus in the middle. Why do we put a minus in the middle, do you think? Because if I'm multiplying a negative times a positive, I'll always get a what? And another thing, it's called a, and difference means, all right. So 3x all squared, what's 3 squared? What's x squared? X squared. Minus, what's 2 squared? Same thing, right? Now, what if you forget the shortcut? And the middle cancels out. I'm like, oh man, I should have used the shortcut, right?
I probably messed up like
That's fine. Hey, I've had people that have always foiled it, distributed it, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. As long as I get correct answers, I'm good. The signs are opposite. That's exactly right. So, try this one. You want to do it together one more time because it has different variables?
No, we got this.
Okay, shortcut it or long way, I don't care. The long way is just FOIL method, so the long way really isn't that long. I mean, it's not like it's a trinomial or trinomial. So in this section, the worst thing you'll have to do is FOIL method. I mean, that's not that bad, right? I'm rolling my eyes. Not in this. That's in section 9.2. That's not 9.3. Yeah. In 9.3 section, the worst thing you'll have to do is FOIL. These special ones. Check your answer with a neighbor. If you do it the long way, the middle should cancel out. All right. Raise your hand if you did the shortcut. Raise your hand if you did the long way. Raise your hand if you did it both ways to check. Y'all are so extra. I probably would do that too. All right, I'm just going to do the shortcut. And if your answer is different from mine, we'll do it the long way. So how do I do the shortcut? Square the first term. What goes in the middle? And then square the last term. What's 5x all squared? 25x squared. Minus what's 2y all squared? Raise your hand if you got 25x squared minus 4y squared. Any questions? All right, now try both of those. Yes, you square the first term and square the last term. Yes. Number two, there is no shortcut. You have to FOIL it. Check your answers with somebody when you finish. Okay. Find my little pen. All right, so what is number one called? Difference of squares. Raise your hand if you did the shortcut. Who FOILed it or did the long way? Okay, I'm going to do the shortcut because it's shorter. How do you do the shortcut?
You do 4a squared
Minus.
7
And what's 4a all squared?
16
Minus what?
49.
Raise your hand if you got that for your answer no matter how you did it. Very good. How do you have to do number two? So that means how do you set it up? 3n minus 5 times itself. So you have 3n minus 5 times 3n minus 5. So what's 3n times 3n? What's 3n times negative 5? And what's negative 5 times 3n? And negative 5 times negative 5. So when you're doing a difference of squares, the middle cancels out. When you're squaring a binomial, you double the middle. Do y'all see that? It repeats itself. So what's negative 15n minus 15n? So raise your hand if you got 9n squared minus 30n plus 25. Any questions about these special ones? All right, here's your practice. We have a quiz Monday, so make sure you know how to do all of this and section 9.1. for your quiz. We will review before we take it. I know, don't freak out on a quiz on a Monday. We will review before we take it. And y'all get busy and work on that. We should be in here till 9:25 today, hopefully. Hopefully. They didn't tell us otherwise, but yeah, you're going to homeroom after this class. I'm going to stop my recording.